Welcome to the Charlotte Chatter Podcast with your hosts, Carrie Cliff and Mitch Bennett. Now, here are your hosts, Carrie and Mitch.
Well, they're made in arena dirt, in the blood, sweat, and the hurt, in the million-mile drives, in the years of sacrifice.
Here we go, season 4, episode 19. And I wanted to give a shout out to our intro friend of ours, Claire Dunn. She just started a podcast of her own. Did you see that, Mitch?
I did see that.
I can't remember what it is called. Do you remember off the top of your head? I was going to look it up. But Claire Dunn, who country music artist, and she does raise those black cattle in the heart of the panhandle of Colorado, but a great gal, and she is an advocate for agriculture. So look her up. I was trying to, the real rural. Well, that's a fun one to say. It's but I think it's on YouTube, and I don't know, it must be on all the spots, but there it is. I don't know if anybody, let's see, got to find a camera 1, camera 2. There's our buddy, Claire Dunn. Congrats, Claire. Her first episode out. So that's our fun and exciting announcement, but we have another announcement. Mitch, you need a drum roll for this one?
I don't think so.
Since I'm from the reservation, I give you a real good drum roll. There you
go. Yeah, so we've been getting quite a bit of interest to do our sale again in Denver, the online Charlotte Chatter online sales. So
Denver edition.
Yeah, we're gonna start probably taking consignments for that here pretty quickly. If anybody's interested, contact me with your email address, and I'll email you consignment form. It'll give the rundown on how everything works and the fee scheduling, and it's pretty. I would say, as a Denver sale goes, it's pretty reasonable to get into, but at the same time, we want fairly high quality consignments because. From what we've seen last year, it seemed like the higher quality stuff really sold well, and there's a lot of people looking. It's kind of a different avenue. It seemed like we hit a lot of parts of the United States with the sale last year. So
yes, we did. And we had 50 lots in our first year, I believe.
Yep, 50 lots. I don't know what the averages were right off the top of the hand, but the sale, I was telling somebody last week, I said, normally some of them online sales take a little while to get going. We started at, regular time in the morning, and by noon stuff was cooking pretty good. So
yeah, it was doing awesome.
Semen embryos, live lots, flushes, whatever anybody wants to offer. Just a good opportunity. We get a lot of visibility. The clicks on them lots were crazy, but when you bring in, 15, 20 consigners, or hell, it's probably closer to 35 consigners on there, different people.
Yeah.
Everybody's viewership kind of works together, and I think that's what probably made it a success. So,
we had a lot of consigners and buyers from the U.S., like you said, but shout out to our Canadian listeners. If you have something you want to enter, let Mitch know so we can.
Yeah.
We'll just throw in the old Canadian exchange. We won't put a tariff on it, but we'll get the exchange difference. So if you want to enter with us, but we do have a good amount of listeners up in Canada with Charlotte's, so bring them on. So we can limit to maybe 70 lots, or what do you think?
I don't think we'll have 70, but if we do, we do.
You think we're gonna have 50?
Well, I didn't think we'd have 30, but proved me wrong pretty quickly. So, but no, It was a good sale. We sounds like we might be getting some live lots already consigned if everything goes well, and so it'll be exciting.
Yep. So that is a Charlotte Chatter online sale, Denver edition, January 16th in the yards, but also it'll be SC online sales. So we will be in the yards and having fun. Stop by our pins, for those that will have live lots there. Actually, we got the new yards and the yards, but then we have the hill. I don't know, they can still call it the hill, even though it's down in the yards.
I think that's what the everybody's going to call it. I'm not sure what the building's going to be called, but yeah. It'll still be called the Hill, so everybody knows what you're talking about, I think.
So
But
everything is new down in the yards hill, I guess what you'd say. The only thing that I've been warned on is parking for this year because the parking garage is not completed. So come early, park early, and so you don't have to walk a mile from what I'm hearing. But
yeah, and that's another thing too. I had a guy that was contacting me about just coming to watch, everything. And I said, well, I don't know if you're flying in or what. I'm assuming they're going to fly in. They're from Indiana. And I said, don't even bother renting a car to drive there. I said, just Uber for $15-20 a shot, and you get right up to the door. I was like, don't waste your time renting a car.
Well,
so and some of the hotels
we'll have our Charlie Chatter helicopter. So we'll just so we're taking donations for the Charlie Chatter helicopter. Mitch is going to get his pilot's license, and then we'll just fly people in. So wouldn't that be fun? Just land that bad boy right into the yards, and here we are. The Chatter boys are here.
Oh, you gave up on the golf cart already, huh?
Yeah, I did. Well, see, there's rules in Denver saying no golf carts. They didn't say no helicopters. So let's
well,
go.
There you go. Maybe fly in on top of the CU campus there and ride the elevator down, and boom, you're right there, huh?
So at this shout out goes to Mr. Doonan down in Texas. So give us the first $100 towards or $1,000 towards our GoFundMe helicopter mode. So, but speaking of Texas, on with it. Let's go to southern Midwestern Louisiana. No, I'm just kidding. Tucker Brown from Texas, R.A. Brown Ranch, and also the TikTok extraordinaire in the world of agriculture and livestock, 6th generation farmer. It's been and has a podcast called the Registered Ranching Podcast. And I just, first off, Tucker, thanks for being on with us. And it's fun to, there's a proper name when people have a podcast do, we share, I can't remember that fancy name, but there's some, when we had Ryan Rash on there, he had said what the name was, when you two podcasts are on, there's some fancy thing, but I don't know what it is. So thank you for being on.
Yeah, pleasure to be on. I need to learn this new word. It make me feel a little smarter because
me too.
I'm so new to the podcasting game. I didn't know that there was an official word for that.
There is. Yes, what we learned it from. I think it was. We've had a couple. We had the old Angus Underground gentleman on with us, and then had some other folks from other podcasts. And those have always been the fun ones because you know what all it is on the back of the scene to make one of these things work. So
yeah.
So. There's so much that we're going to talk about, and I actually just got done listening to half of one of your recent ones with Dale Brisby, which, what a character. So, those who know me, I've been in the rodeo world for the last umpteen years here, and was on the rodeo board and got to meet Dale down in NFR here a few years back. But, he's true to himself, and it was fun listening to him. And I guess the thing that stuck with me is listening to you guys. There was sound like 3 of you on there, and talking about energy drinks. And I'm just like, okay, now you boys are. I'm not going to call you out because Mitch just had a birthday and he turned 48 or something like that. But I'm 52, so you boys are in your 30s, right? We're on that podcast, and I heard one of them say you did 4,200 milligrams or some, not even what it is of what is it of an energy of C510 C10, which is a Caterpillar engine to me. So I don't even know what all you guys, the acronyms that you guys were using for these energy drinks. So explain to me. You never did complain on what you do. I drink water in the morning. So, and Mitch, he's on the coffee or whiskey, but so explain me this generation. We're just going to start out right here. What my daughter's the same way, 23, and they have to have these energy drinks to get going. So in your order, I did borrow one right here from her. I've had that much of it, and I feel like I'm about wired to the max because I never drink them. So how many of these bad boys do you do a day?
Oh no, I'm a one a day. I don't have many energy drinks, but I have like instead of I don't drink coffee. I do like a Mountain Ops supplement that has about 100 milligrams of caffeine. About like Dale. I mean, there are days where I'm traveling or something and I'll get up to 300, 400, 500 milligrams a day, which I don't like to do. But yeah, perfect day, probably about 200 to 250 milligrams of caffeine. But yeah, Michael, the guy who works with me full time on social media, all my editing and stuff, that boy loves some caffeine now.
Really?
Yeah, he one time he said he was up to 2,200 milligrams a day. And
oh my gosh,
we have to work on your heart health. But
yeah. Wow,
he's got to be just wired, or is it just not natural for him?
I don't know. I don't know if his body's gotten used to it or what. But if I had that, my heart would beat out of my chest.
Oh, you know, my daughter works part time at a coffee shop or whatever, and so I tried one of her little fancy coffee things one time. She gave me one shot, and I thought, honest to God, that old movie with the chipmunks where they're bouncing around out the walls. That's what I felt like. I was like wired for 2 hours. I'm like, my heart felt like it was going to pound, but I don't drink pop and I obviously don't do coffee. So that one just about freaked me out. But Mitch, how much caffeine do you do in the morning? How many milligrams? Have you counted them?
I would say there's probably 80 in a cup of coffee, and I do a couple usually.
So you're 160. And your little buddy was 2,200. Holy hell. That's whole.
Yeah, not anymore. We've got him off of it.
That's good. Well, as we
send
say,
him to rehab.
As we said, when we good night of drinking, well, nobody died. So it's a good thing he didn't die after all these. But it's all good. Well, let's that was a very good episode, by the way, with Dale. It's a very entertaining and good guy. But let's go into some of the topics that there's a lot happening in the cattle world right now. A lot of positive things. Obviously, prices are high, record highs that we've seen. There's some concerning things that are in the pipeline, I guess. And I thought, kind of what I wanted you on here is just let's kind of talk about it and give some awareness. And one of the first things I wanted to visit about is the screwworm issue in Mexico. And obviously the border is shut down, and you're very close to the Mexico border, and seen some of your videos on TikTok again. But let's talk about that. I mean, what are you seeing from your perspective, and what is us as producers need to be prepared for, or what can we do?
Yeah, well, the screwworm is a serious deal. I mean, it's pretty scary, especially being relatively close to the border. I mean, I'm still 6, 7, 8 hours, depending on how far, what part of the border you want to hit. But a lot of my generation and doesn't know, has never seen, has never messed with, has never treated a screwworm, probably didn't even hear about it until this year. But for those who may not know what the screwworm is, it's a live flesh-eating larva. So a fly lays an eggs in an open wound. That larva eats that animal alive until it dies. And so if it scratches against a barbed wire fence or cuts itself on a slice, a little cut on a rock, if there's a newborn calf, every newborn calf, if it, chews something wrong gets something in his mouth and bleeds a little bit, like those flies will get there and it will kill those animals. And so, everybody's like, well, it's a fly, so you can treat it with Dectomax. And we're like, yes, but you have to do that every 21 days. It's like, yeah, why don't you just do that? And it's like, okay, that might be a little easier where it rains and, the cow, it's, 2 acres per cow. But further west you go, it just gets so hard to see those animals every 3 weeks, let alone once a month. It just gets so hard to do that. In our part of the world, it'd be tough. There's a lot of folks that don't ranch for a living, and they do it on the side. And so they don't see their cattle but once a week, once every other week. And there would be a lot of dead cattle if that were the case.
Right.
If screwworm were around and they had to doctor them every 3 weeks, it would be tough. Because back then, when screwworm, I say back then, like the 40s through the 70s is when the screwworm was at its like peak here in the U.S. And man, all the old timers talk about that's how they made good horses. And every single day they would go and they would doctor screwworms. They would have to rope them and Tom Down and Dr. Screwworms. And it all sounds fun until we realize today we don't really have the workforce that we did. And the labor to do that would just be detrimental to the industry. Now, the fly can't live below 65 degrees. So that kind of Nebraska line, you're pretty safe if you're there north of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's scary. And one of the hardest things I think that will be important is sharing that it's not like brought by the government. If that makes sense, like that we need, because it will take all of us to get rid of it, to get rid of this thing when it gets here. Because some may not want to say they have it, but then it grows more and then they don't want to say they have it. But really the job that we have to do is to know where that animal is so that we can drop sterile flies and get that puppy back to Mexico, back down to the Panama Canal.
Right. And from the sounds of it, there's some funding available now to build a facility, but it's probably a year and a half out from what I'm hearing to.
That's what I understand. That's what I understand. I know the fund's kind of headed that way, but it's a nuclear facility. That's how they castrate, quote unquote, castrate these flies. These male flies is to sterilize them. They use nuclear radiation. And so to build a nuclear plant to radiate these flies that's built by the government to get all of that approved, that's going to take a while.
Oh, yeah.
And the U.S. owns 90% of the fly facility down in Panama, and they're producing 100 million flies a week, and they're dropping them 100 million flies a week as much as they can.
Wow.
In the 70s, when they got rid of it, it was taken, I think they were doing around 500 million a week is what it took to move that fly south. And so we're a fifth of the way there. We used to have 3 plants. Now we only have the one in Panama, and that funding will hopefully bring the one back from South Texas. And then Mexico is also working on one. So cross our fingers that it just doesn't get here in general. But if it does, I just hope that folks realize the seriousness. And that's why I've been sharing about it on social media.
Yeah.
And no matter what you post on social media, you'll get some hate, especially when it's something like this. And, people thinking I'll work for, I'm getting paid to scare people or increase prices or something. And I'm like, look, the truth is scary, and I share the truth sometimes. So I share the truth all the time. Right. And so, that's all I have to offer.
So it's giving awareness to people. I guess, I probably shouldn't say the first thing that comes to my mind, which usually gets me in trouble, but there's several people from Portland and Seattle like to ship to that nuclear facility. So if they sterilize males, but did I say that out loud? I'm sorry.
Maybe some Highlander cows too,
Yeah, that's the Highlanders. Yeah. So,
I think they're pretty infertile anyway. So,
so just think back in the 70s and stuff. What reminds me when my dad was running cattle, you had the metal jugs of Warbeck's. You put on for grubs, and you had good products to take care of things like this. And actually, I probably shouldn't say this out loud. The best way to get rid of cats was Warbeck's. I learned from a friend, our neighbor, but you had products in those days that can handle certain things, where today we're a lot more limited by restrictions, FDA and all the lovely rules. But like you said, every 21 days they do a Dectomax dose. Holy mackerel. What the feasibility and the expense or cost of that,
Yes. Yeah, that's going to be tough. And another thing for Texas is that hunting is like a $9 billion industry for the state of Texas.
Oh.
And the screwworm would be absolutely detrimental to the wildlife populations, especially the white-tailed deer, the white-tailed deer. Estimations have it that the screwworm would kill about 80%, not the population of the white-tailed deer, back 80%.
Wow.
Now the scary part would be as much as Texas loves its wildlife, is if they tried to put ivermectin or Dectomax in some deer feed, which sounds like a good idea because they love their deer and they want to protect them in those high fence places, spend a lot of money. But that would be the fastest way to make dewormer no wormer. I mean, it would make it not work so fast. And so that goes back to that education piece of like, please don't do that, because right now, those things are all we have to treat it. And if those don't work, we're in trouble.
Yep. I agree.
That's what I was kind of thinking about when you said you have to do it every 21 days. I'm like, man, as soon as you do it twice, 2 times in a row, the third time it probably ain't going to work, you know?
Build up resistance.
Yeah. I mean, majorly. I mean, we're already seeing resistance and, I mean, there's several products that came out.
Products.
Yeah. I mean, they're like, hey, rotate as much as you can, you know, and don't overuse it. And I mean, I think there for a while when Poron came out, you know, the Ivomec Poron, I think people, every time they seen their cow, they were shooting some on there, and then they found out, oh wait, that's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
So,
you think? Well, you know,
the long range wormer, I think that's what kind of put a little bit of hamper on that too. The long range, you know, the 150 day wormer, I think they about the third year into that, I think they were like, hey, there was some pullback on that. They don't advertise that as much as they used to. And I did use it. It worked great, but I think they ran into a little bit of a roadblock with that type of situation. But
stuff was spendy. You know, they had a little cost to it, but so very good discussion about the screwworm. And, you know, I always work backwards on these podcasts and upside down, but, you know, let's talk about how you got into the social media aspect of it, and of what's that's done for your ranch. And obviously you guys had a very successful sale here a week or two ago, and being a sixth generation rancher, you know, the stuff that you're being exposed to and see to benefit the ranching in your farm. So how'd you get started in this? I mean, your TikTok thing has gone nuts, which was great. So
yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. I mean, it started during COVID, about like a lot of things did. You know, we love marketing, and we always say to each other, and in the talks we give, like, without marketing, not marketing is like winking at a girl in the dark, and nobody knows what's going on but you. And so, and we think that is very true. Like, it doesn't matter how good your product is, if nobody knows you have it, then you're alone. So we like to market. We like to market our ranch. We like to market our industry, and that helps our sales. We've had some phenomenal sales the past couple of years, but it does start with the cattle. Like, the cattle have to be right, and I'm so proud of my dad. He's done a phenomenal job with those genetics. And but during COVID, we would normally go to conventions like Texas Southwestern Cattle Raisers, NCBA, some other local regional cattlemen's meetings, Florida cattlemen's, Oklahoma cattlemen's, to get in front of our customers, getting the brand in front of people. And so when we couldn't do that in COVID, I mean, we kind of took to social media. This will be my 12th year of doing sports radio for the local high school team.
Oh, cool.
And so I've always kind of had a love for media and speaking and stuff. And so I got to just kind of combine my passions of media and ranching. And so all I was trying to do was get in front of our bull customers. But as I started making videos, I found out those videos were really going to our beef consumers and our bull customers. So the comments, the questions were all from people outside of agriculture. And so I just kind of leaned into it. I also liked making humorous videos anyway. I mean, those are just, honestly, they're for me. I like making them. And so TikTok and then other platforms that came along as far as the video side, I just kind of leaned into it. I was having fun with it. And I remember I got paid like $50 off of one video one time. And I was like, we can go take my wife out to steak dinner. go out and we'll get a little discount on that. And
Yeah.
Our bull, as I started to lean into that, I was spending more time doing it and investing in learning to use the right words and what makes a better video. And what really made me like make a goal out of it was the National Cattlemen's Beef Association was giving away an Advocate of the Year award. And in 2021, February 21, there's young lady who won it. It's from California. Northern California. She had 12 Hereford cows. She was a first generation rancher, and she was sharing her story on social media and was doing a great job of it. And man, I just felt like I was hit in the face. Like it just felt like somebody told me, like, you are not doing your job. You have this story of 6 generations and family and keeping the ranch in the family and the family in the ranch and great genetics and tradition, and you're telling none of it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I left then, that was like, all right.
Game on.
Game on. I'm doing it. I'm a storyteller. I know how to do it. I like media. I have no excuse. And so I leaned into it. And I did I got my MBA, the Masters of Beef Advocacy, and which that kind of kickstarted my thinking of how do our consumers think.
Mm-hmm.
Even as simple as it was, it helped me change my language for our consumers to better understand our lingo. And man, I've one video after the next. I just had more fun. But the best part where my family was like, we see what you're doing. You're doing good, but let's take a step back. We're Texas Cowboys. Let's put the phone away.
You're spending too much time on the phone, huh?
Yeah. And then at one of our bull sales, it's probably 3 years ago, we had a good bull sale. And one of our customers, he buys like 12, 15 bulls a year. He came up after the sale to my dad and I, and he said, "Hey, I want to let y'all know, congrats on the good sale. And man, Tucker, I just love your videos. Like, I hope you keep making those." And
Did your dad's jaw just go?
My dad leans over, taps me on the back and said, "I was just telling my son he needed to make more."
I'm sure he did.
And right then I knew that's what my family needed to hear, was that our bull customers were seeing it. They appreciated it. They saw the brand more. And that kind of allowed my family to be like, all right, we see the value in what you're building and what you're doing. And they haven't always been a part of it, but they've let me really, really have some fun and lean into that. So
that's
now,
awesome.
For the first year, I always like to share it because some people think like I'm just doing it for fun. But this year, my wife and I joked when we started that, like, if this ever makes enough money that pays more than her teaching job, that she would stay home. And this year at the end, we were like, oh snap, you can stay home. And so thank the Lord, like, God is good. We got my wife is home with my 3 little girls, and she loved teaching, but in this time where our kids are home, she wants to be with them. And it has taken me a lot of places.
Wow.
And that's such cool people. Social media is a tool, and I know there's a lot of people that think it's so negative, but really it's the people who use it who are negative.
Oh, yeah.
I just have the goal of using it in the right way.
So, if you don't mind sharing, was it TikTok that kind of was the beginning of those videos, and then just sharing those onto other Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, other platforms that really paid off? Mm-hmm.
It was, and TikTok was that first platform that really that really liked the videos and kind of helped you produce them, and the reach was massive on TikTok. And then Instagram was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I'll do that. And so then I leaned over to Instagram, and now I'm on 5 platforms. But it was TikTok. Like, TikTok was where it started. And as un-Texas Cowboy as that sounds, TikTok was the place.
It's ironic because again, going back to Claire Dunn, a good friend of ours, country music gal, and she goes, actually, that's how I found her. She played music for us in Ellensburg Rodeo a few years back, and I saw a TikTok video of hers. That's how. Same with you. I mean, yours came across my feed somehow, and I'm like, You went past all the football games and midget stuff, but it felt right in. But no, it was it's fun that you get to meet people of like interests. And I'm gonna go back to something from I think it was 2021 NFR in the so the rodeo committees they meet before the week before in South Point Casino. And I think a mutual friend of ours, Justin McKee, was doing a presentation there. And he was doing it on how to promote rodeos. I went to his talk, and I'll never forget this. It was just like, when like a light bulb comes on. And I'm not a like a, I wasn't born in the computer generation. I mean, when I was in college, we had to get an email address, and I'm like, when the hell am I going to ever use an email address? I mean, that's the dumbest thing. I'm always going to send letters. Now I got 3 of them, so this is how much we've evolved. But the message that Justin said, create videos and tell your story. And I think he's a huge advocate, especially now people, and we've talked about it before. Justin's been on our podcast. It's telling the story because we know our story. We know that Mitch went and bought a mini Highlander, but nobody else knows. And he just spent $1,000 on a unit of semen. But now everybody knows that. So, right, Mitch? But, but it's up to us to tell the story. And I think it's great. And it's funny because generational people be like, boy, I can just see your family get off the phone. I mean, when we're working cattle, my wife's taking videos and it drives me absolutely insane. But those things are handy when you're creating something. So I got to ask your videos, do you have a program or somebody that edits it together, or are you doing that also to pump the videos out?
I did it by myself for 3 years. Then last February, my wife and I decided it was time I knew I wanted to do more. I knew I wanted to do a podcast. I wanted to do YouTube, and I was just doing short form, but I knew it was already taking me away from the ranch. I knew I didn't need to take more time away from the ranch. So I hired a guy last year, and that has been one of the best moves that we've made. I've been able to spend more time with my family.
Awesome.
I'm still able to take that time on the ranch that I need. I still enjoy it. I mean, I do have a love for media, and so I do some myself, but Michael Stevens is the guy I have hired full time. He's from Alabama, grew up on his grandpa's farm there. And he's a stud. He's good at it.
Awesome. Yeah,
goes everywhere with me. So he edits the YouTube and he edits the our podcast and goes everywhere with me.
Small story, Tucker, our editor, our manager that does our podcast, he's actually in the sports media world. I mean, he does all of our local sports
nice
radio and talk and everything, and that's actually what he went to school for. So small world, and he's a farmer in the area, and then him and I became buddies, and here we are. So that's as it goes. So let's talk. Let's go a little deeper with the social media. So right now, in the last week, there's been a hot topic of a decision that, and we're all Trump supporters. Right? Well, I'm assuming you are, but I know Mitch and I are, and just on the comment that was made about beef being too expensive, which I'm going to go out there and just say it right here. I love a lot of the policy that he's doing. I actually support him greatly. But sometimes I just wish he wouldn't say some things or reword some things, because those set of words have changed the perspective of really what the full picture is. Beef is too expensive. When you really start dissecting it, a John Deere tractor I saw a deal here the other day. It's, since 1980s, I believe it's 1,100% higher. The burger is 334%. I mean, relative speaking to all other products, but let's really talk about the amount of, demand in the U.S. for beef is huge. Obviously, supplies because cattle numbers are down. Worst numbers in 70 years. the really, if it would have just, if he would have just quietly, done this with Argentina, because really, Brazil's the biggest one that's bringing, most amount of 1.3 billion or whatever it is, pounds of meat here. What's your perspective on how that message came across?
Yeah, I think part of this for me goes back to the truth part of that. I'm always seeking the truth, and I know the media is telling us things, but I may challenge you here, and I may not. But I do love what Trump has done a lot for our industry, and his policies. I'm not surprised he said something. Like, we know Trump says things. That's what he does. This is the first time it's just ever been pointed at us.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people that took it very personally, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we can, but I don't know if I've ever taken anything personally from a politician standpoint, especially president. Like, I don't expect him to know what percent that went up. And what I would take personally is if Secretary Rollins were to say something like that, someone who represents our industry.
Yep.
And I think Trump is so surrounded by people like Secretary Rollins that do a phenomenal job of being in his ear. I'm sure right when he said that she was like, "Oh, great. Like, I've got some work to do."
Oh yeah, this is worse than
somebody take my phone off the hook.
Yeah,
he just Bud Lighted it. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm, did I like that he said it? No. I do think that it has been weaponized by the other side of the aisle. Really blew up in media, and that our industry is doing exactly what the other side wants, which is to be very upset with Trump. And so I'm trying to see the big picture here. I went to a CattleFax meeting, or a little regional cattle convention. They had about 50 people there the other day, just west of Fort Worth. I drove about 2 hours to go get there, just because I wanted to know, like, what does CattleFax see? What are they saying? And that was on Friday. That was on Monday. Monday night. And they had some interesting things that I wish more people knew. One of those things, as he started talking about why the market dropped, he never mentioned Trump stating this thing with Argentina. And so but other things he did mention, where he's like, okay, so last week, I don't know exactly what the title is, but the commissioner of ag for Mexico, he's got a different title, but basically is the ag commissioner for Mexico, was having a meeting about opening up the border for cattle to come in. The market's been missing that, and it's gone up since Mexico hadn't been having cattle here. So if Mexico were to open up and more cattle were to come in, like, we would expect a dip in the market. So I think he mentioned that was one thing that scared the market. Another thing is that the president from Brazil said that they were close with making a deal with the USA for importing more beef. And like you said, they export a ton of beef to us.
Oh, a lot. They're the biggest.
A lot of beef. And so now, if Brazil and Mexico were both to open back up to us at the same time, should we expect a dip in the market? Probably so.
It's the timing.
Yeah. And then so I asked him, he never mentioned the Argentina deal. And so I asked him, I was like, so how much did this impact with Trump saying that? He's like, did that put some fear? Probably. He's like, even if we quadrupled what Argentina brings up, it wouldn't be a drop in the bucket compared to what Brazil and Mexico bring in. He's like, I think that's just media really trying to push that and making it a political move. But as far as supply and demand and the way the markets work, he's like, I think that was maybe a cherry on top of the cake that the other two things had, which made a lot of sense to me.
Well, you look at it. I mean, even if Argentina brought in 4X, we're still, what do they say, a billion pounds short of what we used in 2024.
Yeah.
Even with that. So I agree with you. I think this was something that, and again, on the social media side, this can be the negative part. I mean, it can be presented incorrectly, and partially why I wanted to visit about it and get some knowledge out there that I mean, traditionally, and every area might be different. I know Mitch's, especially him in cow country, well, both of you. But this time of year, when you have the fall run of all these fall cows, well, our feedlots get pretty full this time of year. So it traditionally, the market softens this time of year. From about this part to November.
I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm like, there could be a reason. We're starting to see a lot of cattle in our yards now. Yeah. And, it was kind of funny when right after he said that, like the next day, and we'd been harvesting pretty late at night and just hadn't been on social media or anything news, especially not the news. And this guy that he says he's Republican, but he leans pretty hard to the left, calls me. And I knew he was calling with the bullshit excuse to bring up politics. And he gets into it, and he gets excited, and I always listen to him, and I try not to poke him too much, but for some reason I think I do poke him a little because he always flies off the handle. But he starts, and he goes, "What about all these guys that got cattle on feed right now? Blah, 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 blah. And they're gonna lose so much money." And I'm thinking, I don't know hardly any big cattle feeders that don't have their cattle sold when they put them in the feed yard. So what are you talking? And I didn't say that to him because I knew he doesn't know that. He's just seeing the scare, he's watching certain news channels and getting the fear factor going. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to affect them. They're locked in. I mean, even the small guys around here are locked in. But yeah, he blew off about 35 minutes of steam to me, and I listened a lot and chuckled a little bit, and he'd always ask me, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, hey, I haven't done my research." I said, he goes, "Yeah, but on Facebook." And I said, "Hey, listen here."
Yeah.
I said, "There's tons of AI videos out there. This wasn't AI, I could tell." And I'm like, I don't know. You're not smart enough to tell nobody is smart enough. I mean, yes, when they're doing a video and their arm detaches, yeah, you can tell that's AI. Like there's a little glitch in there. Those are easy. But some of these other ones, I was like, I don't know. I said, I haven't done the research on it, but I said, I do know this. I said, every farm or ranch in our area is down. You talk to people, they're down 10 to 20% on their cow inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, the drought did it for us. I mean, we were going on a 30-year drought here. And when you don't have the pasture and the feed costs were high, I mean, you got rid of old cows. And well, I'm up on cows, he said. And I'm like, well, I don't think Indiana cow herds are going to play too much into the cattle market. Sorry, buddy. Not a factor.
You're in your neck of the woods, Tucker. The last, was it 2 years or 3 years ago? You guys were in severe droughts. I mean, how many thousands of cows went bye-bye and never got back in production? I mean,
yeah, never made it back. And there's also a lot of wheat guys that are putting cattle out on wheat, and our feed yards depend on those Mexican cattle to kind of fill in whenever our cattle numbers do go low. And so we've kind of had that perfect storm in this area for regional that we're short on cows. And they can't fill from those Mexican cattle that they normally get.
Oh, wow.
And so, the yards are pretty slim. The yards down here are hurting. So they may be coming up north to get those. But if I just looked at the market. It went up today. I know it's been on a down run the past 5 days. But went up on the feeder cattle market, went up 377 today. But a month ago, if you would have asked somebody, hey, will you take 347.88 for your calves? we would have been like, yes, sir.
Yes.
So I know, like, we saw the peak, we saw the historic highs, and I know a lot of guys were wanting that. But it's really hard for me to feel bad for someone when you're getting 350 for your calves.
I think the market is where it needs to be. And I'll probably get hit upside the head, and I'm gonna give you a very good example. So we're in an area that exports a lot of hay to Japan. Timothy hay, premium Timothy hay, and alfalfa. And we have probably, 14 different export companies that compress hay to Japan, or all over Asia. I mean, that was it 2 or 3 years ago when that price got so high. I mean, we're 300 plus on alfalfa. Timothy, premium stuff was north of 400. We lost the market, and we haven't regained it. Because guess what? They went to Australia for oat and hay. They went to Spain, other countries. They shopped. So guess what? Now they have other options. And so now we're looking at, 185 premium alfalfa in our neck of the woods, and, low to mid 200s on Timothy. That hurts the farmer, but I think I wouldn't say the word greed, but I mean, you want more. What's the top? But let's be realistic in the value on the top end. We all, because everybody's talking about, well, when's the cattle market going to come down? That it's got to come down, the whole. But I look at the demand side of it. And if you're looking at sheer demand for protein within the U.S., it's there in, the supply issue. It's not coinciding right now. And I think it's going to correct itself, even though this Argentine beef, and and frankly, it's a low quality beef. I've always said I haven't eaten Burger King for 30 years, and because they use Argentine beef, and so I'd rather die than eat there. But that's just me.
Right.
I would support local USA beef. I mean, if we can. So.
And there's
even if it's Angus.
There's another point in there too of there were some who were like just finding out that we do import beef over this whole thing.
Yeah.
And we should never import any beef. And I'm like, hang on, like if we didn't import those lean trim, that lower marbling beef that we get from Brazil, Argentina, Australia, there would be a lot of ground beef out there that would be 60-40, 70-30. And our consumer doesn't really like that. Mm-hmm. But if they do bring in that lean trim and mix it, make it that 90-10, that 80-20 that our consumer likes, then, they're able to make that more valuable and hence be able to spend more on that product.
Yeah.
So, I don't know I kind of feel like if we didn't import anything, that it would hurt the prices of our cattle, because we're not able to sell that ground beef, which is like 55% of what people eat when they do eat beef is ground beef.
Yeah, it's from your McDonald's and your fast food restaurants, and they need that's their mainstay. They're not selling a prime rib steak sandwich at McDonald's. Last time we checked, but they might in Nebraska, Mitch. But.
Right. But whenever I say things like that on social media, like I'm sharing the truth of what I see the truth, and that we do import. It's like, well, you're against the American rancher. I'm like, I'm just telling you the truth.
Well, we import a lot of products. I mean, I'm, my day job, I'm in the fertilizer chemical business, and my potash comes out of Canada. Sulfate. Last year they're a little stingy because they got a little upset with us. The Canadians did, but the spring, and I mean, there's stuff that I got some phosphate from Mexico, even though Simplot's got they got it tied up, everything west of the Mississippi, let's say that. But so I mean, we have to because we cannot produce what the needs are, especially, they're talking, was there record corn acres this year? Can't even remember what the number was, but it was huge, but that's a huge amount of fertilizer use. So we have to import, but it is what it is. So
it is. Touchy subject, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame that it is that there's more fighting going on in the last week between ranchers than there has been, in quite a while, and maybe some more unity. Like, do we want a ton of beef imported? No. Like, I think we all said that. Every association was like, "Whoa, we don't want $20 billion worth of beef just dumped into this market." We did all agree on that. But I think Secretary Rollins and some other ag commissioners are in the ear and will know how to make this thing work. So
I don't think them out there talking. I mean, the timing thing could be. I don't think Mexico is going to be open up anytime soon, from what I'm seeing here. But I mean, so that's a factor. I don't think it's a But, you know, so I saw some people talking about the amount of, you know, the sheep producers, you know, the amount of lamb that came out of Australia years ago, and it, you know, killed the lamb market because we're bringing so much stuff from Australia, and so they're like, well, that's what's going to happen to the beef market. I'm like, well, it is a little bit different because there wasn't the demand for lamb like there is for beef. You know, that isn't really a comparison in my mind. But
I agree.
Just chill back. So that's a fun. So if you had a take home message to beef producers, what would that be on this topic? Relax. It's going to be okay. Like your one TikTok with your buddy, it was hilarious. But
Yeah. Relax. It's going to be okay. Let's get back to work. And then, like, we know that there's like the media. Anytime the media tries to point you in their direction, and I'm always searching, like, why are they trying to point us that way?
There's a reason for it.
And I honestly think that it was the other side of the aisle trying to get us super mad at Trump. And so, but yeah, if I had to take home message, like, hey, it's fine. If we were asked a month ago to take 347 for our calves, I think we all would have been okay.
Yeah.
And you know, if 347, if you're not making money at 347 for your ranch, like, we got to talk.
Yeah.
And I know there are places that are more expensive than others, but 347 is a pretty good place to be.
It is very good. So one other little fun topic, I guess. I probably didn't pre-warn you, but you know, just because we're Charlotte guys and we've had it come up. But you just recently had a bull sale, so I kind of looked at a lot of the EPDs that you're providing, which is very good. I didn't see the Asterix, the Bezos methane EPD yet. Did you not get a kick?
You didn't get in on that one yet?
Oh,
Yeah.
Did that not make it in the printer? I apologize. Yeah. Yeah. Talk about a touchy subject.
Yeah. Wow. That was something. That was another one that was kind of odd, the way it got shoved under the rug and then put in, and nobody knew, but people knew. I mean, I just can't believe. Yeah, that's a weird deal.
I mean, it was a mistake to release it the way they did. I mean, it was a mistake,
100%.
and it's pretty clear. Yeah, we can all agree that was a mistake. It felt like they were trying to hide it, right? And
yeah, that's exactly.
We don't want that. So yeah, transparency is key, and there was a lack of that, and it showed really quick that they did not approve. But you know, we are at our place. We are believers in testing for efficiency, and you know, if the trail is clear, and I have not studied near enough to know where exactly all that money came from and what grant and the details of all that. But I don't see any cattle association leaning in a way that would do something detrimental, especially. Yeah, I don't see it. Especially being around this long. But you know, we love testing for efficiencies, and if they didn't have to pay for it, I'm sure they were pretty excited for that to be able to get that money. But it is kind of, I mean, you got to watch those things. I mean, that's how some people get in trouble.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we pay for the feeding test efficiencies ourselves, and we have a safe bunk, and we're testing that, and we're excited for new technologies. Hopefully that will be able to, that might come from this, you know, that new efficiency EPD. Like we would love that. I hope it doesn't say the Bezos EPD, you know,
or the fart EPD or whatever, which it's technically belch, but everybody thinks fart, you know? Yeah.
True. And I mean, we have some ways to improve there, and I'm glad they're testing. I just hope that it was clear hope it's a clear path where that money came from, and you don't get ourselves in trouble.
Well, I think to add to that, I think hope they where that data gets used when it's collected and how it's used. You know, personally, I can't see them. They're doing it, you know, to the greatness of their heart. That's just me. But I guess there's a rhyme for a reason for everything, and sometimes you want to trust them, but maybe prove me wrong. I guess so. But
yeah, it makes me squint my eyes at it. It makes me go,
yeah. There's more to it than we know. I can guarantee you that. But yeah,
and that's what kept us from making a really hard stance at it. And we were asked by multiple people to call in, but we're always looking for the whole story, kind of like I mentioned earlier. What's the media saying, and but what's the other side of the story? It's kind of gone quiet.
Yeah, it has been. It has been.
It cooled off really quick. That's what I was. When it came out, I'm like, I don't see the take on it, and I don't see why the association did it the way they did, and it just looks fishier than it is probably. But all associations can work really funny sometimes.
Agreed.
And I don't know. I'll leave it at that before I get in trouble. But I just Well, I don't know.
You were just at Kansas City, and I was just at the Nile, and there wasn't a word edgewise about it from my talks. So I don't know. Did anybody talk about it in Kansas City?
No, I never heard nothing. Not even a no. It just well, I mean, there's other stuff that has taken the heat off of that story. Obviously. I mean, hey, the new one that I seen today that the left was saying that President Trump was going to try and run for a third office, and he gets on and makes a statement that I clearly know the Constitution will not let me run for a third term. It's like
always digging for something. They should just go like the old days on what was it, Super Bowl halftime when Janet Jackson had to accidentally malfunction just to get the attention off her brother Michael. So we just need simple shit like that just to draw attention, away from all this stupidity, I guess. But anyway, well, great topics, great discussion. And as we wrap up here, Tucker, we wanted to personally invite you to the Denver Stock Show, middle of January. This year, the last 2 years been colder than the well diggers beep, but this year it's going to be warm because it's our year, right, Mitch?
Yeah, hopefully.
It was negative-ish, but if you have a chance, I know you're probably busy that time of year, but we're going to be recording an episode down there, and we're thinking of having a fun one. Like, they did the what is it, the Newlywed Game, but this is going to be the cow. But we got to name something. So it's the husband, wife, and married to a rancher, farmer, or somebody.
The stock show edition or something.
The stock show edition of the Newlywed Game. And I am so dying to ask Mitch's wife some questions. That through these 20 some years of, how many years you been married, Mitch? Is it 21?
About 26.
What's that? Ooh, shit, same here. So. Can you imagine what could possibly go wrong with questions like this?
Might have to bleep some words out.
Yeah, y'all should know all the answers, right? 26 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So if you make it, Tucker, which we fully invite you, and I got an extra room, so don't even worry about that. And you'll be part of the fitting crew, and also so you can host. You can be our host for this. This whatever we need to name it. So can you in the yards? You want some videos? We'll make you some videos. So,
hey, yeah, that would be a blast. I have not made it to the Denver Stock Show before. We're typically calving heifers that time, right? That first and second week of January. But now I've got a reason to go.
You do, as you said earlier, now your family, sees the benefit. Just say, hey, I've got invited by these guys to be a host for this. Not newlywed, but what do you call a past a newly oldie, an oldie wed game? But so
I don't know. We're gonna come up with a good name.
We're gonna come up with a really good name. So, God, can you imagine you hosting that? What's that?
The Veteran Weds.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be good. There we go. So
Veteran Stock Show Wed Game. Yes.
Yep. Your invite is there. So if you can make it as our host. Yeah, and you got to come up with the questions though too. So let's see some creativity from you, Louisiana Texans. So
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. I like to have some fun. I actually just posted a video that I call the Cowboy Cupid. I'm trying to get Michael, the guy I hired. I'm trying to get him his hopefully future 26-year-old marriage wife, and so I always play as a game host. Like I have a blast with that
good
of being that, and we did it to where ladies fill out an application and there's a selection committee and we select one and they go on a date. Like I have way too much fun with it.
Oh, well, heck, Denver, if you can't get married in Denver, there's no hope for him. But so it's, there's several selections down there. And they have like a Billy Bob's type honky tonk. I can't think of the name of it.
The Grizzly Road.
Yes.
Road. Yep. And it's a fun little establishment. But so you're officially invited to be our host. So if you can make it work, January, that'd be 16th, I believe it is. So it's on a Friday. Yep. 16th, 17th. We're showing the 17th, but we'll be there the 14th to the 17th. So come down and let's record this. Yeah. We have how many contestants we can have, Mitch? I think we should have Cody Rumpf and his wife. They'd be a hilarious couple to have on. Just off the top of my head. Anybody else off the top of your head? But
I'm sure we'll round up some people.
Okay. With that, check out Tucker Brown, R.A. Brown Ranch. He's on all the social medias, TikTok, and I enjoy your TikToks. I enjoy your Registered Ranching podcast. I haven't listened to all of them. I've listened to a handful of them, and they're very good and informative. So all of our listeners, go check out Tucker Brown. So with that, hope to see you in Denver. So
hey, thanks, Gary. Thanks, Mitch. It's been a pleasure. Had a blast too.
Yep. Yeah, have a good one, everybody.
Some raise them up, and some raise the roof, and some give their lives protecting me and you. And no.